Welcome to the Non-Sequitur Show. Continual watching beyond this point may result in terminal face palming and a complete loss of wokeness. You have been warned.
Wow, what a combo of intros. I like that. I actually kind of blended together better than I thought it would, actually.
It worked
There was
pretty
kind of
well.
cohesion. Yeah, there's like a little cohesion there. There's a synergy
Yeah.
there between the Non-Sequitur Show intro and the Caffeine Corner intro. So I do like that. Very good.
Who would have thought? Who would have thought?
I don't know. These crazy thoughts that just come to us. We're like, hey, let's do this. Somebody has said, hey, wait, isn't this usually on Steve's channel? I was like, oh, this is Steve's channel. No.
I mean,
For
I'm
now,
just a
until you
little
take
bit
it over.
sassy, but I am very excited to finally actually do a Caffeine Corner over on Non-Sequitur Show. We've had a lot of
we had talked about it for a while, right?
Well, we weren't sure whether or not we were going to do Caffeine Corner on Non-Sequitur Show or if it was going to remain just on Steve's channel, but we had a lot of requests for it.
Yeah, and maybe we might do it on mine. I don't know, but I mean, this was like a kind of a special thing. We have a lot of things going on as far as getting guests on, and we were like, hey, you know what? Maybe let's do this. We got Landon coming on in a couple days. He's actually in the live chat. And by the way, Chesh, guess what? Since he actually knows about nuclear reactors, which is going to be the topic for Old School Nuke, right? He also knows about volcanology.
I'm so excited.
So I asked him, can we talk about the latest volcano stuff?
Yes, ask him if we can talk about the latest volcano stuff, because that stuff is very interesting, and I'd be curious, and I would love to hear what Landon has to say about it.
Yeah.
As well as we had so many updates and so much going on, and we wanted to have a way to tell you guys and to get your guys' feedback on it. A Caffeine Corner seemed like the best way to do that, realistically. Mostly this is here for us to look at your comments, hear what you have to say, hear what you think is best. Who do you want to see debate? Who do you think you would want to have on? As well as show you some of the fun little fancy things. You'll notice that our names are currently missing. Guess what? Now they're not!
She's learning remix. It's like, I'm telling you, I'm not even kidding. She's like, Steve, guess what I figured out how to do? Guess what I did this? I did learn how to do this. I'm like, we'll be so proud of you. Bull, here's the bull. It's in the middle of us. Bull. And by the way, have you guys, did you see this? Jess, you saw this. See, look at this. Hey, y'all, let's listen by Little Red. There you go. I also got my smug and I got my ATA cup.
And when Landon gets here, he's going to have his own little name tag.
This is Cano's, though, but she's allowing me to use it, and I'm drinking coffee out of it. But yeah, we get some paraphernalia.
How?
Too
Tell Elmo. No, I'm excited. So I figured out how to get Elmo on our show. And we've got...
I gotta tell you, that's the funniest thing, Elmo, right now. I'm dying.
So that's one of the other things I wanted to announce to you guys. We have GIFs and memes now available for when there's debates or information or things going on. So now when we've got, I don't know, a flat earther on and they're trying to say that something is the case, we can just tell them. Tell Elmo. Tell how. Tell Elmo.
How does this work? Look, don't worry about V and I. Don't worry about us. Don't care. You tell Elmo how this is supposed to work, because we have no idea what the hell you're talking about.
I also saw somebody commenting saying that live chat was kind of difficult to read, as well as people were getting cut off. Luckily, live chat will not be staying on the side over there. It's going to have, once the merch is ready and the Discord is ready and all the membership stuff is ready, that will be on like a rotation, kind of like it was on the old Non-Sequitur Show layout, but it won't be as obnoxiously large as it was on the other one. In the meantime, I also have this that I can do. Where'd it go? Where'd it go? Come back.
Just push
it went to the next.
Push the buttons until something happens.
I'll push all the buttons. Ta-da!
Look at that.
It still needs some adjustments, a little bit small. It needs a little bit of tweaking, but it will, once I am done tweaking it, we'll have that. So
he got a little volcano symbol. How cool is that?
Volcano symbol. So that's all going to be available and up and running and good to go. I'm so fancy.
Yeah, it is. She's getting high class, man. We're getting some good stuff here. Yeah, so I figured out, it says, Landon happens to be an expert in multiple topics. It's just kind of fortuitous that he's coming on to talk about Chen Yeroble and the SL1 reactor accident, which a lot of people aren't that familiar with. It's something that I and Dapper Dino actually had to learn a little bit about. And Dapper Dino will be on with us as well. But it's actually kind of fortuitous that he actually knows about volcanology too, and so we could talk about that as well, because it's not a reactor accident, but it's still considered a natural accident of some kind, right? So I think it's kind of in the overall theme of the show, maybe, right? Sure, we'll go with that. And we'd like to hear Landon talk. He can talk about anything. He read the phone book, we'll listen. I don't care.
Yeah, I'll listen to Landon talk about anything forever. However, this is a Q&A option for today, so please, if you do have any questions, leave them in the live chat at me or Steve or at the NonSec Show. Probably, Steve, I don't think you're on your Steve account, right?
I am on the Non-Sequitur Show account. Right?
Yeah, so at NonSequitur Show or at me, and we will do our best to answer your questions as best as we can. Debate formats. That's something we wanted to let everybody know about, how we kind of wanted to format debates moving forward, because, that's kind of important. And one of the reasons why we don't have a debate, we haven't done a debate yet, or we didn't start off with a debate, was because we needed to get a couple of shows under the belt, make sure everything was functioning, everything was there. And when we invited people onto the show, we didn't have to send them to Kyle's garbage. We didn't have to send them the old stuff and say like, hey, look at all this bashing that goes on. Come on our show. No, now it's like, hey, look at the conversations that go on. Come and talk to us on our show.
Yeah, it's a completely different style, right? We've been building a lot of bridges with a lot of people that obviously do not believe the same things we believe, but we have enough respect for them. They have enough respect for us, so they'll come in and talk about it. So I am arranging debates/discussions, and they recognize that it's not going to be the type of debates that people are used to, where it's not going to be like one person talking for 15 minutes and then another person talks for 15 minutes and it goes nowhere. I find that to be very boring. However, whatever. There's some are better than others. It's dry, but to each his own. But what we want to do is have more of a debate discussion where V and I are part of the discussion, as well as the two people having very diametrically opposite viewpoints, because then we can kind of guide it. Because like somebody had asked the other day, actually it was the day, they said, what about having a debate on the resurrection of Christ? And I'm like, been there, done that. This is like, what are you going to have with that? It's very subjective. There's nothing that's really going to be added of interest to me, I think, in that discussion, because what the hell do I got to add to it? What the hell do you got to add to it? So we wanted a little bit more different kind of debates, things that either one, there is an objective fact of the measure to be had, or at least of topics that people have not discussed in certain details as much as, like the resurrection. Like the one I'm working on now is an axiological value of atheism versus theism. Would it be better to have God exist or not? That to me is an interesting question.
Dapper is asking if we've got citations needed. I have it lined up, but I do not have it input yet. So that will be added. I will be sure that is added. So there will be citation needed. So if you guys have suggestions of like meme funny stuff that you want to have pop on the screen while these conversations are going on, you let me know and I'll get to work on those.
Yeah, that's something that we could definitely use some input
as of right now, it's just Elmo.
Yeah, especially citations needed, right? I mean, when people say something, you're like, can you give me a citation? And by the way, I am so sick of people saying that if you ask for a citation, you're somehow like asking for an appeal to authority, or if you provide a citation, you're appealing to authority fallaciously. No, you're not. You're allowed to cite an expert as long as you don't say, hey, look, I'm correct because the expert says I'm correct. You're not committing a fallacy. It's fine to appeal to authorities to buttress your arguments. And I don't understand why it's mostly atheists that I've run into that say, no, that's a fallacy to cite somebody. No, it's not. That's how you do a paper in college. That's how you write a paper. You cite people. That's not fallacious. It's idiotic to say that.
Well, I mean, it just turns into it just seems bizarre to me because like, how do you even argue evolution without citing papers?
Correct. I mean, don't you cite people in science? I mean, most people are not experts in evolutionary biology. Most of us have a very tertiary understanding, right? So, I mean, of course, I'm gonna have to cite certain people in order to say, look, I don't have the skills or the information to even dive into this, but here's some citations from experts, and we defer to the experts on many things. If 12 doctors told you had a specific disease, you're probably going to defer to them and go, yeah, you probably have this disease, whether you understand what the hell it is or not. There's nothing wrong with that. We got a first super chat to try.
Oh yeah.
Oh, we're gonna try this.
There it is.
I like that.
We need to make it look a little bit nicer in the text itself. I need to make the text.
Yeah, it's a little bland in the white. Can you make it colorful or something?
Yeah, I can. I can change all that and adjust all that. So that we'll spice it up, make it a little look a little.
I like the layout though. I like the layout.
Yeah, the little.
So Kawasa says,
is nice.
"What if they cite themselves like Randolph Richardson?" Well, remember I was talking about being an idiot? Well, there you go. That's a perfect example. And by the way, there's nothing wrong with citing yourself if your citation is one, cites other people, or two, you're using as a reference. Like I cite my work all the time, but my work is backed by other citations. And I'm not self-referential on my citation page. I don't cite myself at my reference page. He does. Yeah. What else we got?
Saying if you cite someone, you are not doxing them.
That is correct. Yeah. If you cite somebody, you're not doxing them. How are you doxing somebody? I don't know, man. That word doxing, oh god, it gets thrown around so much, man. You're doxing.
How long do you have to be dead for it to count as a resurrection?
Oh, that's a good question. Well, okay, let's think about that. Actually, I like those kind of questions because people have been legally dead. I don't know about brain dead, but legally dead for several minutes and came back. There's what's called the Lazarus phenomenon. But people have died and came back, but it's not like a cascading brain death where all the synapses fail and your channels open up. And once your ion channels open up in the brain, you're considered to be kaput. There's no coming back from that, from what I understand. But I mean, as far as like legally dead, what do you think? Let's put it this way: if you have rigor mortis set in, and you come back, I'm going to call that a resurrection.
I would say if you come back to life while you're in the morgue, I would call that count. I would say that counts.
Well, no, that people have done that actually.
Well, then they've been resurrected.
Christianity confirmed.
Confirmed.
Yeah. Yes.
We've got a question that says, the debate on trans folk in sports was not awesome. Would you do another discussion on trans issues? I would be more than happy to do another debate / discussion about that. And I do think something like that should probably be more of a discussion than a debate because there's just a lot of nuance. And I would really hate to see trans folks suffer just because somebody was better at talking than somebody else.
I have a perfect person for that. Fonda Beatles.
What about Noel? No, not Noel. Yeah.
No Plum?
Yeah.
Well, he'd be good too. But Dr. Fonda Beatles, are you familiar with her? She literally writes the papers on this stuff.
then yes, that'd be amazing.
Yeah, so she's well entrenched in this particular topic, and
So
I get along with her very well.
What position would she be taking?
She takes the position that she takes a position that there are two biological comedic sexes, and that if you happen to go through puberty as a specific biological sex, there are certain things that cannot be reversed even through hormone things, and so there are substantive fundamental discrepancies between people that have transitioned later on in life as opposed to earlier on in life that have gone through, and gotten stronger bone density, fast muscle twitch, and things of that nature. So she recognizes there's some problems there, but she obviously will address them. But she's one of those people that speaks out against this cancel culture, that if anybody on Twitter speaks out against anything like that, or even talks about it, that's considered to be heresy. And that's what she mostly talks about, is why are people canceling biologists, people that are actually experts in biology? There's a social phenomenon and there's a biological phenomenon that has to be talked about. And people don't want that to have that discussion for some reason. And so they shut it down. They try to cancel that. And that's what she speaks out against.
EMP for 10 said, awesome. After 2+ years, it feels like this could be a dream that Caffeine Corner is on NonSec, but it's better than that. It's reality. Always loved CC. Thank you so much.
We know what we actually do too.
Also said the memes popping up during a debate, just like super chats, could be jarring and disruptive to the flow of conversation during the show. Yes, it could, and that will 100% be my fault. And I apologize.
Yeah. And we're okay
and
with that.
I'm sorry.
Again, these are not going to be rigorous debates. These are not going to be rigorous, they're not William Lane Craig versus some opponent. These are supposed to be fun discussions, and there's going to be comedic value to it. Part of the show is humorous. I mean, she can be funny sometimes, right? And so look, man, I won that freaking vote. I was funnier than you.
Okay.
We want to incorporate that kind of humor in the Non-Sequitur Show. We've always had that. And so why do we want to have these very just like rigid types of debates and discussions? I don't think that does anybody any good. I think they should be free flowing. I think it should be fun, engaging. Nobody gets butthurt unless you're a flat earther, then all bets are off.
I think that there'll be time and place for meme stuff, but we will not interrupt somebody during a serious point with some stupid meme. That would be dumb and horrible, and that would be ideally avoided. But you make a good point, and it'll be important to keep an eye on that and make sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah, we're not going to mock religion, obviously.
It's the same with, well, we might a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah, but during like a debate, we're not going to be like, like a meme of Jesus with something. That would be kind of
no, that would be in poor taste.
Yeah.
But the other thing is that we'll have to be concerned about is super chats, and we're still kind of figuring out how that's gonna work, because there's one thing to save all the super chats for the end, but I've also noticed that if you save all the super chats for the end, then you miss the questions that people are asking.
Right.
Because you've lost track of the conversation since the super chat was dropped. So I think we're probably going to have to play a little game of saving some super chats for the end and other super chats for Q&A. But
yeah, it's going to be a case by case.
It's going to be a juggle, so bear with us while we try and navigate the best way to do that.
So did you want to you kind of want to dive into this whole what was it? What was it called? What was the whole thing called? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Even I tweeted it out. I still can't remember. Helpful distinctions. Helpful distinctions. You want to dive into that?
Oh boy, do I?
There's a lot to unpack here. This is the core of Caffeine Corner. This is what we actually love to discuss, this kind of stuff. So he's going to give you the kind of the background of this, because it's a lot here.
It's something that like somebody's presented something and it's so bare bones minimal that it's just missing everything. There's no
context.
Everything is removed. And so this was just tweeted out as it was. So it said helpful distinctions today. 1, men are not women. 2, women are not men. 3, pets are not kids. 4, boyfriends and girlfriends are not spouses. 5, the internet isn't the local church. 6, words are not guns. 7, feelings are not facts. 8, creatures are not the creator. And 9, sin is not righteous.
All right, can you guys see how much there's back about these right now? Now, by the way, this was a tweet that I don't even know the person who tweeted it, but it was Dr. Jonathan Safadi who retweeted it.
That's how I saw it.
Yeah, and I mean, he does watch some of these things, and so I don't know if Jonathan's ever going to come on the show. I've asked him, but I've never really got a definitive response from him on that. Although we talk about other things, but every time I ask him, if he wants to come on the show, it's dead silence. I don't know, but he retweeted this, and we have a little bit of issues with some of the things here, and there's a lot of context being just completely negated by these very short, just very, very brief statements.
Yeah. My mom is asking, will CC now be a regular occurrence on this channel weekly? Please. Maybe Monday afternoons like it used to be. Bat's eyes.
I think we decided on once a month, maybe.
Every week would
we got a lot of stuff. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm booked for January, February. I'm working on March. I mean, I'm getting a lot of people. We want to have one show a week, but unfortunately it's kind of staggered. And so we like this month, I think I have like 6 things planned.
Yeah, we're super reliant on timing of guests right now. So depending on the guest is really when things are going to be. So when we can slip a caffeine corner in, we will be slipping a caffeine corner in, basically. For now. Yeah. Down the line, it might end up being a regular show depending on how things go.
But I think the caffeine corner on this channel actually is very appropriate. I think it has to do with the context. I think it's something that you and I, work together on. I think it's appropriate. It has to do with, a lot. The whole point of non sequitur is, fallacy, right? Non sequitur is a logical fallacy. And so when we're dealing with things that we talk about with the 5 C's, and if you haven't seen that video, go watch it on my channel, the 5C video, which is, I think, one of the best caffeine corners we've done, and apply them to this kind of stuff because it is helpful to do so.
So how do we want to tackle this? Do we want to do 1 to 9, or do we want to go 9 to 1? Everybody's in the side chat's already upset that there's only 9 and not 10.
Yeah, so the people have OCD, like, where's the 10th? I think 1 and 2 we can start because they're both kind of related to each other.
Yeah, okay.
And we were just talking about something similar.
This is true. This is a lot to unpack because things are not that simple. Even if you break things down to biology, things are just not that black and white. They're not that black and white socially. They're not that black and white in biology. Things are just not that black and white. And to try to make something that is considered to be quite complicated into such a black and white situation is just unreasonable.
Well, and there's a lot of equivocation going on here because, are they talking about men as far as, biological gametic sex? Are they talking about gender expression, which is a very complicated phenomenon?
Or are they saying that, like, because the thing is you could say yes to these things and still be like, men are not women. Correct. People who are trans women are women. They're not men. So, like, you can read this every single way.
Right. There's many different ways of reading this, right?
Right. So, if you wanted to,
I don't know what they're trying to say then.
You could say men are not women. Correct. Trans women are women. Right, and which it clearly is not what they mean.
But that would be applicable to this, right? If you say men are not women, you can say trans women are not men. And again, we're talking about gender as opposed to biological. And there's a huge distinction to be made there, but that needs to be discussed in an environment where those types of discussions can be had without persecution, without people labeling things, without people, oh, you're transphobic, you're homophobic. When none of those things are applicable, obviously. But to say that men are not women this would have been funny if they said men are not men. Then it'd been like, wait a minute, now you have a kind of contradiction. But nobody claims that men are women. Nobody claims that women are men. So I don't know. Again, it's not really pointing out anything of value by having these two things out there because nobody claims that men are women.
Because of the loss of nuance and the loss of clarity in what they're actually saying, and because there's a difference between what they're trying to say and the words they've actually spoken. The words that they've actually said, there hasn't been a distinction made about what they're talking about. One more, Angel for $9.99 said, because I learned so much from Caffeine Corner.
Thank you, one more, Angel. We appreciate that.
Okay, so 3, pets are not kids. Do you want to start with this one?
You're the one that has Puck. Maybe you should.
Like as in like they're not literal children.
I mean, I have a kid, and I've had pets, Okay, so here's the thing. A lot of people are very emotionally attached to their animals with good reason. Look,
I would
animals
kick
happen
someone
to be.
else's child if they punched my dog.
I mean, think about this. We are animals, right? I mean, kids are animals. I'm sorry, kids are animals, and that's not. I'm not trying to be hyperbolic. They literally are animals. Now, we use the term animal to kind of differentiate in biology between humans because of brute animals, right? Humans are not brute animals. So when we say animals, it connotes we're not talking about humans. We take humans out of that category of animals because that's how we have a discussion. We talk about brute animals. Biologically speaking, you can't do that. Biologically speaking, we are animals. Kids are animals. But people have an affinity toward their animals where they treat them like they would an actual child. They feed them, they clean them up after them, they love them. So they treat them as if they were their own children. I don't have a problem with that. I mean, of course, they're not biologically their kids, they're not legally their kids, but I understand the emotional connection, and I don't have a problem with that.
I've had this kind of a conversation a little bit. I don't know if we ended up having it on Caffeine or on that time of the month, but I've had it with the time of the month ladies, and I'm sure it'll end up being a little bit more discussed more down the line. But the some of those ladies have had kids, some of those ladies have not had kids. So we kind of discussed it in two different ways. And one of it being like, when you commit to having a pet, you are committing to take care of that pet the same way you commit to take care of a child up until a certain age. But the pet never gets out of a certain age. Having Puck is basically like having a toddler. He needs to be fed, he needs to be on a leash. You need to teach him things over and over and over again sometimes. He doesn't really pick up after himself.
Wait, it sounds like you're describing a boyfriend.
Maybe. But but at the end of the day, you're committing to this, but they're not it's like having a kid in this section, but you never get to the next part of having a kid. Right? So there's this next stage of development that humans have in amongst humans that Puck's never gonna have. Puck's had like his kind of being a teenager, right? Like he doesn't act the same way now as he did when he was a puppy. He didn't act the same way now or as a puppy as he did when he was like a floppy teenager. He looked like the in-between Pokemon stage. He looked like a Charmeleon. So he was like, you got the cute little baby, you got the awkward teenager, and now he's a badass old man. So there's still like life cycle steps that happen. And yeah, you're not going to get the same kind of teenage back talk. They're going off on their own to make their own way. No, if I let Puck go off on his own, he'd either sit in my backyard or he'd run around in circles for a little while, take off, and then come back because he wouldn't know what to do with himself.
Yeah, and like people are saying it's kind of maladjusted, and I'm like, I don't think so. I'm like, look, if somebody actually thinks that they're actually their child, sure, I think then there's an argument to be had.
There's a difference between I think there's like treating them as if they're a human child. Do not treat a pet as if it is a human.
Right. That's exactly.
You have to recognize that they are in fact a dog or a cat or an animal.
They have different necessities.
They have different necessities, and those needs need to be met. Yeah, but because you're committing to meeting those needs, you are parenting them the same way, like their parent would, their biological parent would.
Yeah, and I think that's an important distinction to be made. That if you think that your dog is literally a child, then yeah, that might be an issue. But we have to understand that the emotional connection is pretty strong. People love their animals, almost as much as they do kids sometimes. Maybe sometimes equally. I don't know, but
and the commitment you make when you decide to get an animal.
Yeah. So I don't know why that needs to be pointed out, though. I mean, what is it harming anybody if people think their pets are treated similar to children? Now, I'm not saying that they should literally treat them like biological children, but as far as the emotional connection there, I don't think it needs to be pointed. I don't see the reason why this was something that needed to be tweeted out, right? I mean, why?
You're allowed to sell pets. You're not supposed to sell children.
You're not supposed to. Yeah, you're not supposed to sell kids. It happens, I guess, but you're not supposed to. Yeah. It's considered to be bad form to sell children. Yes.
I don't know if it's possible. RH makes a good point. It says, "Don't project."
Well, actually, you can, I guess, through adoption. Yeah.
Yep. Don't project human
There's
emotions
a legal way
onto
to do
your
it.
pets. How dare you? I mean, that's kind of impossible to not do to a degree. There's a matter of being able to relate and understand what your pet is trying to tell you. Because, like, I mean, they have feelings.
I absolutely believe they have feelings. Yes.
So
they have emotions. They're state, of course.
Mm.
Yeah.
All right. Boyfriends and girlfriends are not spouses. Legally, no. Correct.
Yeah, I mean, but I don't know much. Look, when I was with my baby's mom, we had our names on the checking account together. We lived together. Everything we did was together. I don't know what would have been any different had we been married for 5 years. There was just not. I mean,
my dog is more likely to go to heaven than I am.
Well, yeah, you're short and you have tattoos.
And I drink.
Yeah, you're screwed. You're screwed across the board. We figured that out.
I'm screwed across the board. Why? Where was the short from, by the way? Apparently, you don't get into heaven if you're short. What?
I don't know where the Westboro Baptist Church, I think, came up with that for some reason. I don't know.
Oh.
Well, they don't think anybody's going to heaven anyway. So
no, I didn't want to hang out with them anyway.
But what does this matter? Boyfriends and girlfriends, not spouses. Again, spouse is a legal term, right? And granted, boyfriend and girlfriend are not legally the same under the eyes of the law. But for all practical purposes, or anybody's ever lived with somebody for an extended period of time in a romantic, relationship.
Yeah, because
what the hell is not much difference.
Kawasa also brings that up. Common law marriage. Common law marriage is basically, this person is your I've kind of just stopped with boyfriend and girlfriend terminology, except for like particular circumstances, and just gone with significant other. Are they significant in your life? And they're the other person in your life that does stuff. Sig fig.
Yeah, no, I think it's a good term. See, for example, I usually when I'm talking to somebody, I'll usually say something like, my ex-partner Kyle. They think that is like my ex-lover. so even that term partner used to be prevalent, right? Who's your partner? But that seems kind of odd. I don't know. The word partner to me is more of a contractual type relationship. But every time I talk about Kyle as my ex-partner, I have to clarify. No, I mean ex-business partner. But no, significant other is actually a good term.
IMAX said, LOL, once a friend's cat wanted me to let it out and I didn't wake up, so it pooped on the inside of my pocket of my jacket that was on the floor. I was still drunk.
That sounds like what kid was.
How did you find out? Did you put your hand in your pocket and was just like, well, okay. Is that what happened?
So
I need to know more about the story.
Jacka Hart says a person not married to you is not the same as someone who's married to you, which is true. But again, what is the difference between having that piece of paper if you're, for all practical purposes, in a committed relationship with somebody as a common law? Like I was common law, well, not legally common law, but I was with my baby's mom for 5 years. We did everything as a couple. I
feel like, there's a distinction here that's being made. And the reason the distinction is being made is to undermine or devalue the boyfriend-girlfriend status, saying like, well, it's not as high or it's not as important or it's not as deep of a relationship, and that's just not fair in my opinion. Res for
I think I agree with that. Okay.
Rule number 1, kids are morons. Rule number 2, most adults are kids. Also, if you count from 0 to 9, does that make 9 10 instead? If 10 base math uses 1 and 0 to make 10, isn't that just 9? But if it's 9, then Stitch EXE has stopped working.
Yeah, 0 to 9 would be 10. Thank you, Rez. Yes, and yes, I agree with you. Many adults are morons, and many of them do act like kids. Appreciate that. But I think on this espousal thing, I think this is a way to kind of slide against the holiness of spouse of people's. Look, marriage is supposed to be a religious institution.
Sacred.
It's secularized. Yeah, sacred. I don't buy into that at all.
I mean, it was secularized to begin with, was it?
Long time ago.
Long time ago. I'm pretty sure. When did Adam and Eve get married? Real quick. Where's that in the Bible? They didn't. Yeah. Norm says you don't get half your stuff taken away if they leave. That is entirely situational.
It does happen. I had half of my stuff taken away when I wasn't even married to him, Kyle.
Womp womp.
But yeah, I mean, look, I don't think marriage should even be a religious institution any longer because it's been so secularized. The reason why we have marriage is because of things like transition of materials, transition of properties, legal declarations that people can make on behalf of their spouse, especially in medical, right? Right to die. These are all things that we've given to a legal person we call a spouse. And so those same things can be legally given without that term spouse. Spouse is just a name.
That's why gay rights and being able to get married was so important. Because
yes,
I mean, yeah, it's not trying to infringe on your religious beliefs. It's trying to get themselves the same legal rights as everybody else was getting. And I think people forget about that or didn't know about it to begin with. Like, it's, if you are in, like, once upon a time before gay marriage was legalized, if you were in a gay relationship, you could not get married. So if anything happened to your significant other, you might not be able to be their next of kin. You might not be able to visit them in the hospital. You might not be able to help them make any decisions while they are in the hospital because you're not legally their family because you could not get married. Who gave a crap about the church's marriage ceremonies? No, it wasn't about that. It was about
they have just as high
right.
But don't they have just as high divorce rates in a lot of these churches anyways? I mean, I think the only reason people got married is because getting divorced is a real pain in the ass. And so going through a divorce procedure, yeah, they stay married because going through that whole legal proceeding of getting divorced can be really complicated. And people are like, oh, you know what? It's not worth it.
Depending on where you start looking, the divorce rate went up as soon as women were allowed to get divorced.
Yeah.
Because for a long time, they weren't allowed.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird. I've wanted to get married all my life. I mean, ever since I was a kid, and yet I've never have been because I never found somebody that I wanted to really think that I was compatible with. And I've never asked somebody to marry me, although I thought about it. There's a couple girls that I wanted to, but never going to happen again.
Goblins aren't legally allowed to get married.
Yeah, I think it's in the Constitution actually. But I mean, I can understand why you would want something like that. Look, I mean, I like I said, I wanted to get married. I mean, even though I've lived with different people for many different times, there's something that to me it meant something, right? That getting married. But I realize nowadays that
Steve grew up in a different era.
Probably gonna be a pain in the ass, right?
Steve grew up in a different time.
Yeah, I'm old school. So I definitely have to get up to date and modernized. Where I think one of these days marriage is probably going to be defunct in some ways. I think that it's going to be more of a just hey, this person is your, as Cheshire said or V said, your significant other that has legal standing.
Keon's giving us our daily friendly reminder. Says if spending your days hating people is your sole motivation, well, you need better distractions.
Well, yeah. Well, how many people do that, right? I mean,
go watch your run. If you're upset right now, listen. If you're having a day, you're having a hard time. Breathe, relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, get yourself a glass of water and sit down, get some popcorn, and watch Uran High School Host Club. It will make you feel immensely better immediately. I assure you that show is nothing but wholesome and hilarious.
But don't you think that a significant portion of our fans are people that just spend their time eating? That's literally what they do. That's all they do.
We have
an hour of content. They have 3 days. Okay, that's brilliant.
I have a whole section in my Discord that is food porn. And so it's just everybody posting what they're making, what they're eating, how much of it they're eating, and just like some of the recipes in there are just like, it looks so good. All right.
I do that all the time. Did I not do that with you? I'll be like, hey, look what I made when I'm talking to you.
Yes. Steve will send me pictures of being like, look at what food I got.
We like food, and I told you I got this air fryer, right? It was a housewarming gift for Kano because I was like, you know what? Let's get something for the place. And so I got an air fryer, and I got to tell you, this thing is freaking amazing. I am so impressed by this machine. I have no words. It's faster than a regular oven. It heats things very, very well, and just browns it and toasts it. I mean. And you don't need deep fat fryer. I mean, you can spritz something with a little oil if you want a little oil to fry things like French fries. But I mean, I made 2 frozen burritos in it. They were awesome. I put reheated pizza in there. Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I'm sold. Air fryers are the way to go. Everybody needs to get one. It's a requirement. You won't regret it. Yeah.
Smitty says Chess doesn't want a husband, just somebody to cook for her. To be fair, I like my own cooking, but it is nice to have somebody else cook for you once in a while.
You know what? I'm okay with that. If a woman is attractive and she can cook, that's all. I'm done. That's all I'm looking for at this point. Food, and eye candy. That's it. I'm simple. I'm so simple these days.
Vibrantly says, I only use marriage to further cement land trees, as it was originally intended.
That's really, you know what, Vibrant, I don't even mind going back to that, man. I mean, give me a dowry or some shit. I don't know. Hey, what, marry this woman? Steve, she's got a dowry.
The dowry.
Okay. She's got land. Okay.
No, Steve, you have a daughter and you would be the one getting married. That means you're
that's
the one
true.
paying.
I told my daughter has always known this. She has two choices in life: become a Catholic nun or a lesbian. Those are it. She's never getting married. That's it. Or both. I don't care. But she's like, Dad, I'm not Catholic and I like boys. I'm like, why are you telling me these things? Stop it. I don't want to know these things.
How dare you even bring that up?
Certain things you don't tell your dad. You just don't.
Number 5. The internet isn't the local church. Correct?
Oh, by the way, real quick, people ask me about air fryer. It's an Insignia, but it's a 5-quart. You don't need a big one. In fact, for an air fryer, smaller is actually, I think, are a little bit better because they heat really fast and really quickly. So unless you're making a lot of food, you only need like a personal, like 2-quart or like a 5-quart. You don't need a lot, but it doesn't really matter as long as it has a nice convection. But anyways, okay, go back.
Dapper's asking if your daughter is allowed to be a Buddhist nun or an Orthodox nun.
A Buddhist nun? What's a Buddhist nun?
I don't know. Dapper, what's a Buddhist nun?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably Orthodox. She did go to a Catholic school.
Interestingly enough, about number 5 here is that a lot of church services, because of Covfefe, in places that aren't crazy, have been doing online services. So maybe the internet is your local church.
Yeah,
maybe your local church has a Facebook group.
No, I'm serious. And I want to ask the Christians out there, and I want to ask the believers and things of that nature. Wouldn't God exist no matter where you are, whether you have a local congregation or if you're virtual, especially during a pandemic? I mean, doesn't something the Bible say, like when 2 or more people are gathered, it doesn't have to be physically gathered in the room? Does God care about spatial temporal relationships where you have 2 people that are 1,000 miles away, but they're praising him? Wouldn't all that matter? I mean, wouldn't you want to have churches where you have people all come together from all around the world to talk about something like we can do now because we have the virtual technology to do so, rather than have a bunch of people in a room during a pandemic? That is the church. I mean, the church is not supposed to be a physical place, from what I understand. The church is actually the people, from what I understand. When you talk to most Christians, they say, no, the church is the body of Christ. They're the church. The people are the church. So being in an actual physical building, what's the relevance?
I mean, I think that there's something to be said about like having a communicative experience. And you'll hear about that a lot in like, oh, you're at a concert or you're at a worship session specifically. And so you feel the Spirit of Christ moving through everybody because it's like a joint group experience. And I can understand that maybe people might feel that experience is lessened or less common or less intense when you're not in the same room together. I mean, hell, people have the same thing with D&D. Playing Dungeons and Dragons online, even when you have cameras on, is a lot different than playing Dungeons and Dragons in a room and everybody's got their dice and you're reaching at the chips and everybody's got their drinks. Like, it's just a different experience.
Poker's the same way. Poker's the same way.
Exactly. It's just not the same. It doesn't make it bad. It makes it different. Mm-hmm. And you lose and you gain and you push and you pull. But at the end of the day, no, the whole internet isn't your damn church. Don't expect people to behave as if the internet is your church. Don't expect people to behave on the internet as if they're in your church or necessarily even part of your religious group. Which is what makes kind of number 1 and number 2 weird, because like what? If number 5 is the case, then why would you have this expectation of 1 and 2?
Yep. Agreed.
6 words are not guns.
I think this is supposed to be something along the lines of words are not violence, and I believe that, by the way. Where speech is not violence. I am against that. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, these are violent. No, that's not violence. Words are never can be violent. It's actions that are violent. Now, can they provoke violence? Absolutely. Can they cause harm?
Yeah.
Yes. There are what's called fighting words, and these are words that are not protected under free speech. You don't have the right to do certain things. In certain situations called time, place, and manner, if you were to incite something by your words, that is against the law. If you were to at the wrong time in the wrong place actually verbally say to certain things to certain people that knowingly will incite a fight, that is against the law in certain states. Not every state has the same laws on that, but there are what's called fighting words, which is long established that these words will provoke certain things. I mean, obviously, I'm not going to say some of these words, but people can know there's racial words out there that provoke a very emotional response. Those could be considered fighting words. And if you say something like that and you get knocked the fuck out, but life sucks, you know, you deserved it. But words themselves, they're not violent as in the same thing like a gun. So I actually believe that very much is true. Words are not guns, but I don't know who advocates words are guns unless they're using it as some kind of relationship or a euphemism to, you know, violence. That's the only way this sentence to me would even make sense. Words are not violence, which then I would agree with, right? It was a metaphor. What
yeah, I mean, I think Smitty makes a good point when he says, are they saying that guns are inherently violent?
No, I don't think guns are violent either. I'm one of those people that guns are an object. Guns can be used to cause harm. They are designed to cause harm. But anything can be used to you know, cause harm if you need almost anything can be used to cause harm as a weapon, right? So guns, I am one of those people that believe guns don't kill people. It is the person pulling the trigger. That's because you don't press charges against the gun.
I would,
but I might be in the minority on that.
I agree with the sentiment, but I think I might disagree with the phrasing, because I would say that guns are inherently made to cause damage, and therefore, because they are tools specified for destruction, they are inherently violent. But that does not mean that they are necessarily always used in a way that directly harms a person.
Okay. Yeah, so, and I can modify that a little bit too. I can say, how about this?
Yeah.
Let me say this. I can say this. Guns on their own are not inherently what kill people.
Sure, yeah.
They have to be used in conjunction with somebody pulling the trigger. And I mean, obviously, theoretically you can have accidental discharge if you drop it or something like that. But there's still something involved in an action.
Those are accidental.
Yeah. I mean, I can have a knife, but I can use a knife to cut steak, or I can use it to kill somebody, right? So that knife isn't specifically designed to kill somebody. It's designed to cut meat. But yes, guns are designed to kill, not to harm, not to maim, but to kill. That is true. But I do think that, again, you don't press charges on the gun. It takes somebody to pull the trigger. Now, again, I do want to have a discussion about rust on that one of these days.
Yeah, like any kind of tool, they can be used.
Yes.
To be very, very harmful, but that doesn't mean that necessarily has to be the case. They can be used to, I know there's a rabid animal attacking somebody and you shoot the animal. Yeah, it's still violent, but and that's why I would say they're inherently violent, but they're not necessarily inherently the problem if there is a problem to be had.
Yeah, and by the way,
sorry, go ahead.
No, I was gonna say real quick, it's not even the gun that kills people; it's the bullet that comes out of it.
But you want to get like really pedantic, sure.
Yeah.
EMP said, "Question: I thought it was fascinating when you had Dr. Garriott Miriam on your other channel talking about artificial emotional intelligence. Will you be having him on again?" And then also Jack of Hearts. I just want to make sure I get all of these real quick. Jack of Hearts said, 1, define a man, 2, define a woman, 3, define a pet, 4, define a spouse, 5, define a church, 6, define guns, 7, define facts, 8, define creator, 9, define sin. So it's like, how do you make distinctions without definitions? Is that what you're saying?
EMP, to answer your question, Dr. Gary Merriam is also known as Sisyphus Redeemed, not doxing him. I got to point that out all the time. Not doxing. People know that he's Sisyphus Redeemed from the internet. He's been around a very, very long time. I love his videos. I talked to him, I don't know, a couple months ago. So, I mean, I don't see why not if he wanted to come back.
Matter of fact, you can throw a gun. You can throw a gun.
You can throw a gun.
Knock somebody out with a gun. You could probably.
If I throw a bullet really fast, if I get a .45 caliber, just chuck that into somebody's skull.
You get like a straw.
I'll tell you a funny story in a second on that. EMP, why don't you tag Sisyphus Redeemed and ask him? He won't mind. But I know he's really busy with his coursework because he's a actual professor. But he's a really nice guy.
People.
So I'll tell you a true story, V. When I was a kid, right, I was one of those people that worked with electricity a lot. Okay, I mean, even when I was like 9 years old, I had an oscilloscope, I had
all right,
vacuum tube tester, and so I liked electricity.
I know where this might be going, but okay.
And so I used to design these things to shock people, right? Right, and so one of these days,
remember, we went over that children were animals. Yes,
I was a kid. This had to be like my early teens or something. But for this group of people, they weren't a gang. Okay, they weren't a gang, but they were kind of the bad kids of the neighborhood. So I developed this little shock.
He was part of a gang. Noted.
Shock people that they were trying to like fuck with. Well, one person in that group had made a blow dart out of a curtain rod and wrapped it with tape.
Okay.
And so I just remember being, with the whole electricity thing, and I was like, oh, I want to try that blow dart. And so they made a nail that was wrapped in newspaper, right? And so it was a nail, it wrapped in newspaper, and then you would have a curtain rod with tape on it, and you blow it. And so I blew it, and I swear to God, I blew a dart that hit this guy right fucking here. And I was like, oh my God, I almost blinded somebody. It scared the shit out of me. Plus, I thought it was going to kill me.
Who did it scare more, the kid who got hit or the kid who shot it?
I was scared. I was, oh my God, I damn near killed somebody, But
that's ridiculous.
Prosecuted for that. I'm not admitting that actually was a true story. This is an anecdotal. I think I dreamed this, just in case.
Anecdotal.
I don't know if I can prosecute it 40 years later.
It's probably past the statute of limitations.
Is it? I hope so. Like I said, I can either confirm or deny that story actually happened.
Noted. But, all right. Words are not guns. Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if they're complaining about the internet, then you could use words to type out the image of a gun. Does that count?
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably say probably not. All right.
Somebody asked, we have a special guest on today. We have V. V is our special guest. We do have somebody joining us in a few.
I live here.
Just to give us a recap. Yeah, she lives there. We have somebody coming on in a few to recap a debate they had with Hovind.
Yes.
But that'll be in a few. So.
All right. Feelings are not facts.
That one I do actually disagree with. Feelings are facts. This is something I found on Psychology Today that is explaining why feelings are facts. You have a feeling. Matter of fact, there's something called an incorrigible belief. And an incorrigible belief is a belief that is true by virtue that you believe it because it is the case. For example, if I believe that I have a headache, I have a headache. I mean, it is the case that I am experiencing pain. I'm experiencing something that I believe that I'm calling a headache. That is an objective truth. That is called an incorrigible belief. You cannot be wrong about having a headache. If you feel you have a headache and you believe you have a headache, you have a headache. There's something you cannot be wrong about. It's incorrigible. And so when we have these feelings, even though they're, I believe, very, very related to hormones and chemical processes, these are facts that you're having them, and you have them for a reason. Now, the argument to be made is just because I feel something doesn't mean it has to comport with reality that right. What I'm thinking about. But that's not the same argument.
Right. It's I've said this for a while, and I'll probably say it probably until the day I die. Feelings are valid because you feel the way you feel, and it is the way it is. Now, it might not be reasonable, or the reason that you feel that way might not be true, or you might have a misinterpretation of a situation, but you feel the way you feel, and that is what it is. So your feelings are always going to be valid. Your reaction and behavior about those feelings, on the other hand,
and also those, even though those feelings are valid, they may not be appropriate feelings.
Correct. Yes. That doesn't make them they're not necessarily always correct, I guess.
Feigned outrage, for one. You might actually be outraged, but at the same token, should you be? It's almost comical that people get outraged for the dumbest things. Most of them, I believe, are feigned completely, but some of them are a combination.
Outrage and being offended are almost always, not always, but almost always a chosen. You've decided to be it, even though it might be a decision that happens very quickly, or it might be because of a decision you've made beforehand that now you're reacting in a way that is outrage, or you're offended because you've decided ahead of time that you would be offended. That it's almost always a chosen
But don't you sit there and think sometimes, hey, is this something really worth being offended by?
I don't know if I get offended personally by anything. I don't care.
Very little. Very little. I mean, I've told people that
the
things that affect. Look, I actually do get offended when it comes to military things.
Sure.
The whole veterans thing, that's not feigned in any way, shape, or form. I take it very personally. I take it very offensively. When it comes to things like with children and pets and things of that nature, I take it offensive. If I see animal abuse, I take it very personally.
So,
and so those things I have no control over. Those things I just do not like, and I do take offensive.
So AT2 said, hang on, Steve. If I feel that someone is an idiot and disgrace to their education level, that doesn't mean it's a fact. It means it's a fact that you feel that way.
Right, exactly. The feeling is legitimate, right? The feeling is a fact that you have that. This is what I'm saying. It may not necessarily correspond to the actual reality of the situation. Now, somebody had asked, Jack of Hearts says, what's a fact? Well, okay. What a fact is considered is something that has what's called a truth maker in reality that makes a proposition true. So if I say the sky is blue, it's true. There's a truth maker to be had. There's a condition of reality, an ontological fact that exists that the sky is blue due to Rayleigh scattering that makes it the case. Now, there are other theories out there that relate that was called truth conditions, which is like relationships. Like I say, look, I am taller than V, right? The truth of the matter is there's a truth condition there that I am taller than her that makes the proposition Steve is taller than V a fact. So there's truth makers, there's truth bearers, there's truth conditions, but the fact would be what actually is the case that makes that proposition true. So my feeling, right? It is a fact that I'm feeling something. There's a condition that exists that makes my feeling real. But that feeling like this person is an idiot may not be the case that this person actually is an idiot. They could be just a genius that's acting stupid.
Why you feel that way might not be
I have a misrepresentation.
Right?
Right.
So one of the best examples you could probably come up with that pretty much everybody has experienced from one side of the coin or the other side of the coin is when somebody gets hormonal. When somebody gets hormonal, sometimes that can really mess with how you feel about something or how you react to something. Or if you're feeling overwhelmed. If you're feeling overwhelmed and something small happens, you're done. You're done with the day and you're really angry. Now, that one thing is it's not reasonable that you're this upset over this, I don't know, spilled coffee. But you are because there's a whole bunch of other things that have built up over time. Or you're in a situation where you are upset and because you think that somebody did something. And you're being upset about that thing is totally reasonable, totally fair. But they didn't do it. So now you just have a misunderstanding or there is a bit of information that you're missing or you're incorrect about. However, if the situation was true, you're feeling the way you're feeling about it.
Yeah. Right? Well, like Ennis Freitas points out, he says, many Republicans feel, quote, with scare quotes, feel that the election was stolen from Trump. That they, quote, feel that it was a fact, but what they feel is not a true fact. Exactly. But their feeling is.
Exactly.
Now, I think they actually, I mean, these people, I really do think a lot of them do actually very much believe that is the case that the election was stolen. But does that comport with reality? No. Clearly, the election was not stolen. So they have a disagreement between their feeling and the fact of the matter to be had. But that doesn't mean that their feeling is not a fact. Their feeling is a fact that they're having that feeling. There's a distinction to be made there about what we're talking about. Right.
I'm Milwaukee Atheist. All right, do we want to read this article real quick? He's not saying hi to you.
Sure.
Okay. All right. The article says feelings are facts. There's no such thing as a wrong feelings. Feelings are signals. Feelings are facts. They are neither right nor wrong. They just are. Like pain, feelings are signals that get our attention. Pain is a signal that something is wrong in the body and demands our attention. Pain is a tough warning signal to ignore. If you cut yourself, the pain you feel alerts you to attend to the site of the injury. It's like the body screaming out loudly, "This is serious, take care of it now." Imagine what
it's exactly right. Wait, he's exactly right. There's no right or wrongness to be had there, right? It's not a moral evaluation. It's if you're experiencing pain, you're experiencing pain. Your body is trying to tell you something. That's why we have pain.
Original also makes a good point. Says, I have unreasonable responses because of my ADHD. While my feelings are valid, they are my responsibility, and I keep that in check. Exactly.
And that's notable too, because there are people that don't take sensory perception clues very, accurately. They may perceive a slight when no slight was intended, or even, remotely intended. This happens quite frequently, especially in the type of social media that we have, where context is so removed. Like on Twitter, context is very, very difficult. So there are people that
people will have they'll bring preconceived notions to the table, and so they'll read into things. Sometimes people will straight up read words that are not there.
They're not there, and that happens to me a lot. People are like, "Well, this." I'm like, "That's not what I said. You added a word there that changed the entire context of the what I said."
I've seen people get confused between the word "because" and the word "and."
Well, it's funny, actually, if I'm not mistaken, logically, if you convert something into a logical statement, because and are logically the same connector, but
not in
the English language, they're not the same thing. Yeah, not in English, it doesn't work that way. So you got to be real careful that it's funny, you can always you can actually go from English to logic. You can translate things into logic, but you can never take that logic and convert it into an English that's going to be the same way as the original intent. You lose something in that translation in sentential logic.
Imagine what life might be like if you were unable to experience pain. At first blush, it might seem to be a good thing. After all, why go through life with headaches, toothaches, and backaches if you do not have to do so? Yet a life without pain could be a short one. Pain is adaptive, directing our attention to recognize and correct the underlying cause. Without pain as a warning signal, we might not pull our hand away from a hot object in time to prevent burns. In extremely rare cases, children are born without the capacity to experience pain. Sadly, these children repeatedly injure themselves, ramming their heads into walls, even mutilating themselves because they are incapable of experiencing pain, of knowing when to stop whatever they're doing that causes injury. Feelings are signals that tell us about our internal state of mind. Like feelings of pain, emotions should not be ignored. We should listen to them. Troubling emotions are signals that demand our attention, signposts for underlying concerns and issues we need to address. We can use these emotional signals in much the same way we use pain signals, to examine the source of the problem and take steps to correct it. There is no such thing as a wrong emotion. Negative feelings are calling cards for change.
Yeah, and I absolutely agree with that article. I don't see anything in that article that I can just say stands out as something that I would disagree with.
Feelings are valid, and it's just a matter of how do you deal with them, because how you deal with them is incredibly important.
And this is something that everybody that's been in a relationship has to go through. It's like, look, I understand you're feeling this. I'm not seeing it the way you're seeing it. And empathy is, okay, I'm going to try to understand it from your perspective. That's the best thing you can do. Try to understand it from their perspective. Doesn't mean you're always going to accomplish that, but a lot of people can't even do that. We've all been in relationships where they won't even put themselves in our position at all. They're not going to put themselves in the other person's position. It's all about them.
Some people aren't capable.
That makes it very, very difficult
of doing so.
Yeah, and I think it isn't a capability. I think it literally is a fundamental thing that they have the inability to do, and in more degrees than most people. At least I think it's a scale. I think there are some people that just can't, and there's some people are find it very difficult to do so.
And sometimes it's a maturity level. Sometimes it's a more a physical capability. If you have any kind of underlying issue that you might not just be able to do this. So what you need to do then is find and learn a coping mechanism or a way that you can establish some kind of way to communicate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm constantly talking to V about it. It's like, V, what about my needs? What about me? She's like, who you?
Who this?
Like, who this? Do an Elmo, because tell me, V, tell me about.
Tell Elmo. How about me?
Tell Elmo. How about me? Tell me why I can't have people know about my needs for a damn change. Oh God, I love Elmo. I swear I'm not. We're never gonna get rid of Elmo. We're gonna keep that. I love Elmo. All right, what's next?
Creatures are not the creator.
Look, this is all yours. I have no idea. I don't know what to do with this.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know what it means.
I can create something, but I think it means like humans aren't God, and it's like, yeah, no shit.
I don't think there's many people that would disagree with that, unless you're, maybe if you believe that an emperor is a god, right? The emperor god. But they're not a creator god. Well, it depends on the creator. Look, from what I understand, like Kim Jong-un, his father is a creator God because he created the hamburger. He literally created the hamburger.
I mean, yeah, but that wouldn't that would
that
still fall
technology.
under, like,
In North Korea
creations.
mythology, but in North Korea mythology, his father created the hamburger. Now they're claiming they created the burrito, I guess, too. But yeah, there's a whole thing about the mythology of the North Korean leadership.
I feel like the
bizarre.
connotation of this would change if the was capitalized, like the creator. So like it's like basically you're saying that humans were created by God, not the other way around, right? People didn't create God. We're not creators. We should not put ourselves on the same level as gods. And this is a whole like theology belief system thing. And it's like, listen, you want to have that? Sure, go ahead. But there's like a nuance here that's lost. Just got like the way you've said this is so nonsensical. I don't even understand what you're trying to say.
Yeah, I don't know why this is something that has to be helpful distinctions. I don't know how this is helpful. Most people understand the distinction between.
I'm sure there are some people that believe they're God.
Sure.
And I think there are some people that are so self-absorbed that they think the world revolves around them.
Well, there's a difference there, but yeah, I mean,
I don't know how many people believe they created the world, though.
I don't know. Maybe like Lord Stephen Christ may have. I mean, he thought it was Jesus that created everything. Although I heard he died. Is that true? Did he really die?
I was watching somebody on Keon's channel that seems to think that they were Jesus, and we totally got to get that person on. Keon, who is that person?
Oh, I haven't. I'm getting Lord. I'm getting somebody from Lord Raphael. Remember Lord?
Yes.
Lord Rael. I have somebody that's coming on. I believe end of February, give or take, and they were in that actual cult.
Yeah.
They were actually in the cult, and so they're going to come and talk about that. So, yeah.
Sin is not righteous.
Subjective. I personally, I don't think there's such a thing called sin, because one, I don't believe there's a God. But I mean, sin is so subjective because even among what constitutes a mortal sin versus a venial sin, there has to be a measure of subjectivity to differentiate between the two. Between what is God considered to be a venial sin as compared to a mortal sin, that's up to his subjective opinion. There's no objective matter to be had unless you say, well, whatever God says is objective, but then you can't go out and discover it on your own, which means it's not objective.
Going to arbitrarily decide, and it's not something we could ever discover or know ahead of time anyway.
Right. So it can't be objective. That's why it's called ethical subjectivism. That's why divine command theory is ethical subjectivism. You cannot go out and discover this on your own accord. God has to tell you this, and you have to just accept it as a case.
There's one that like you would say it's like, okay, so is it righteous to kill? And I mean, it depends on who and when you ask. Because sometimes that could be considered a righteous act.
Yeah.
You could say, is it righteous to steal? Well, is there somebody who's withholding food selfishly from other people and other people are going to die if they don't have it? Is Robin Hood morally good?
Don't you think 2,000 years ago they didn't really have the same moral theories that they have now? I mean, 2,000 years, there's been a lot of work done in moral theories, and so
King Samuel
was it the same?
Is the name of the person, Steve? We got to get in touch with to see if they want to come on to
King. What is it called?
King Samuel Owen.
Okay, we'll check that out.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, but so I mean, you ask two Christians certain things, and one might say it's a sin, one may not, and how do you objectively go about to verify that? There's no way to do so. Yeah, as Smitty points out, objective morality is not the same as absolute morality. Absolutely, this is not the same. People conflate objective morality with absolute morality all the time, and it drives me nuts because it's not the same thing. Matter of fact, objective morality is a meta-ethical theory. Absolute morality is both a medical ethical theory and a normative ethical theory. There's two things that are in play when it comes to absolute morality as opposed to relative morality, and I tend to actually do moral universalism, but as a normative.
Dapper says that Lord Stephen Christ's YouTube channel uploaded on the 5th, so 12 days ago.
Doesn't mean he's doing it. He has disciples for that. Like I said, I don't know. I just heard rumors.
You asked.
So sin is not righteous. Okay. But that's also, don't you think it's kind of a definitional thing? If we're going to say what sin is, right? And sin is supposed to be something that is impermissible in the eyes of God, right? So it's something that is a moral,
only God act. Would ever be able to judge and make the decision. So how would you know what was and was not a sin?
Yeah, but by definition, sin would not something to be righteous in that regard. But so what? I mean, you're just defining what righteous is by whatever you think God wants. But
Dapper's yelling at you.
Sin can never be righteous. I'm trying to do research. I might not have. I know it might not have been. Okay, thank you. But yeah, so like I said, I mean, sin. When people say that's a sin, for what? I mean, if it pisses off God, I'd like to know what is it about that particular thing that pisses off God, because he had 16 to 13 mitzvahs.
And
yeah, I mean, at one time eating shellfish made him mad. I don't know. I happen to like shellfish. Is this sin now? No. To a Jew, it might.
We do have some more announcements. Do you want to drop a couple of show announcements as well? Because we still have a couple more of those.
Like what? I was gonna get this guy a link real quick.
Teespring and Discord. Discord is on the way. Yeah. We have a couple of fun things planned, which is one of the reasons why it's going to take a little bit of time to set it up. We're almost there. It's going to be a little bit longer, so please hold your horses. Discord will be free to join, but there will be additional stuff for members in there. We are playing with the idea of having a tribunal that you'll be able to sign up for, so you could basically have Non-Sequitur Show jury duty, which would ideally be recorded. So we're still playing around with some of the ideas. If you want to, we're also playing around with basically learning and testing out and trying to debate, which would mean basically if you're a newbie and you want to learn about debating and argumentation, you'd be able to go in there and try like throwing your tactics or your arguments.
Yeah, try new arguments out
at the wall, see what sticks, see what doesn't stick, and test out in there, as well as like, you know,
yeah, kind of like a safe zone. I mean, because if you jump into like the Atheist Experience Discord or some of these other Discords, a lot of times you'll get eaten alive if you have a bad argument. But I think that's kind of the problem is it doesn't make you become better. Yeah, I mean, look, I have arguments that I test out. When I find a problem with them, I try to shore it up, right? But if I go into like some of these Facebook groups and I try an argument out and it's really that bad, you know, I'm going to get eaten alive, as well as I should be, but it doesn't help me improve the argument. Now, even when I have a good argument, I go in there and I put it out there. They're like, "Oh, this is word salad. This is nonsensical." And I have some people going, "What's nonsensical about it? This is actually true." And then I have people going, "Well, it may be true, but logic is stupid." Okay, what do you want me to do about that at that point? But I got something to announce, Josh.
Yes.
Since we are going to be doing debates, discussions, I do want to have a discussion with somebody on my latest stuff, which is against the use of the term agnostic atheist. So if you are somebody out there that is a new atheist TM, or if you're a fan of the Atheist Experience or whatever, by the way, Matt Dillahunty no longer uses that term either. But if you think that you can make a cogent argument for agnostic atheist that doesn't reduce down to the latest version that I have, that is non-superfluous, non-redundant, non-ambiguous, then yes, I want to have a discussion with you on the Non-Sequitur Show with V and Jay, the Nevermore Tavern.
He doesn't use the Nevermore Tavern anymore, though, Steve.
Okay, so Darkbringer.
Yeah.
So they'll be the mods, I guess.
The TLDR is, if you want to debate Steve about the definition of atheist agnostic, come and hang out, and we'll do that.
Well, that wasn't what I was offering, but that's fine as well.
I'm TLDRing.
But yeah.
And whatever. If you want to sail one of Steve's arguments. Yeah.
Yeah. Sail one of my arguments. There you go.
Steve, there's a little bit of background noise coming from you. It sounds like maybe a fan or something. And a little bit of echo.
Oh, that's somebody joined. That's what it is.
Oh, it's somebody. There's somebody here. Okay. Hold on one second. This person.
Yes.
Can you guys hear me?
We can hear
you.
One moment. Teespring. Teespring is getting updated. I'm going to actually be going through some of the old designs over on my channel. If you're interested, I'm going to shred them because they are horrible and really bad. And I'm going to show you exactly why and how they are bad. And so if you are interested in making your own merchandise or making your own designs, you might be able to learn something, as well as we will be in talks about what people want to see and what merch people want to get. So if you're interested in getting any of the old merchandise, this is going to be your last chance to do so, because that's going to be gone very, very soon. So keep an eye out on that. Also, we need to know what people want for emotes. So if you got for membership emotes. So if you guys know what you want for emotes, there's going to be a puck one, there's going to be a bull one, there's going to be one for me. We got to come up with something for Steve. So if you guys have any ideas of what kind of emote you want from Steve, you let me know. And if there's any other what other ones that you guys think are a good idea, I will get those done. So shall we bring our guest in?
Yeah, before we do, I wanted the person said in the live chats, really, this whole nonsense about what words to use. Talk about flogging a dead horse. Does anybody care about Steve? Yeah, a lot of it people that are agnostics that don't like being called atheists because they're not. And so until atheists stop doing that, it's going to be an ongoing thing. But yeah, it's not about the words people use. It's about the rationality. I have a hard time with atheists who say that they're the critical thinkers, that they're using reason and logic and rationality and then do stupid shit like lie to people about certain usages or try to say that a phraseology such as agnostic atheist makes sense in a schema that I cannot find any logical way to make sense of. So yeah, I think that's what's important. It's the logic and the reason. Anyways, should we use your first name? Yeah, please tell Elmo. Should we use your first name here?
Yeah, I'm Jackson. So
okay.
Can you guys hear me?
We don't want to dox. Yes, we don't want to dox, but I mean, I know who you are.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Jackson actually had a debate recently with a man named Kent Hovind.
Yep.
And you're going to give us kind of a too long didn't read what happened on there?
Yeah, I've had 3 debates with him actually on the Standing for Truth channel.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I mean, once you get in the groove of it and you learn all of his bad arguments, it's kind of a learning curve. I think you do better with each subsequent debate with him. So this last debate I had was on the geologic column. I don't know if you've watched his old seminar. He always says there is no geologic column.
I've seen his old stuff. Yeah, he what he claims is this. He claims there's no contiguous geological column that has all the way back to primordial to modern, and that might be the case because it's fractured. But there's enough. We could picture it all together by saying, okay, here we have here. But his argument is there's no one single place that has contiguous geological column, and that might be actually true.
But actually, there are like 20 or 30 of them that locations that are continuous. There's the Williston. Yeah, there's the Williston Basin in North Dakota, the Ganymede Basin in Libya. Those are the 2 main ones I was talking about with him. But
and that has every single layer.
Well, every one from Precambrian to now. Yeah.
Well, there you go.
And yeah, so I showed him stratigraphic charts, and he's basically like, well, it's a coincidence. It's basically the conclusion he came to, that they're in that order.
Well, how is it a coincidence?
Did he admit that they exist then, but they were coincidental?
He was pretty much saying it was a coincidence that they were in that order.
I don't understand how that would be a coincidence. If his claim is there's no place that has the contiguous geological column, and you've given him an example, then you're automatically have a defeater for his argument. It's defeated. It's done.
Yeah.
It sounds like you won. If you were able to, if he was able to say, well, it exists, but it's coincidental, then
technically I would say, yeah, I won, but it's kind of difficult to say that with Hovind because he's so good at wording his way out of things. You know, he's
slippery.
He's slippery, yeah. But I have a 4th debate coming up with him on transitional politics.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
what's his hope there? Because of course, he says there's no transitional fossils, and then he also says you can't tell if this fossil had children. Yes, you can. Some of them. Yeah, it depends on the bone.
Which that's a bad argument. I mean, you could tell it's part of a population that was having children. You know,
it had parents.
It had parents. You can tell that much for sure.
Right. It had ancestry.
Brilliant is asking, how does he explain the coincidence, though? Does he just say it's a coincidence, or did he give like a reason why?
Well, he gave for the geologic column, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he would basically say, well, if I shuffle cards enough times, it'll come out this way in a few places. You know, that's basically what.
Did he say how many times that would take? Because that would take a lot of time.
52 factorial is a big number. That's like 10,000 to the 67th power.
10,000.
I would be more than 10.
52 factorial is way more than that. Yes, 10 to the 67th power. That's a big number.
Did you bring that up to him?
I don't remember. It was I don't think I did, but I said that's not really a great argument. I mean, you're saying all these 20 locations where the most of, if not all, the geologic column can be found are a coincidence. I even showed him under his feet in southwest Alabama where there's a bit of the column goes. There's some Paleozoic, and it goes Triassic, Jurassic, and Cretaceous. That's what he was sitting on. I said, you're sitting on a big portion of it right now. He at one point said you can't find 3 in order, so I showed him 4, and he happened to be sitting on it.
Now, what makes him believe that? I mean, why is he willing to have such an argument that is so easily demonstrably proven false? Now, again, I don't remember that there was an actual places that had contiguous. When I remember, it was kind of fractured. But let's assume that this argumental, absolutely, there's some places that have contiguous. Even if you have fractured, there's still obviously that transitions between these layers that we don't find the Precambrian in the Triassic period. We don't see these we don't see like mammals way up here, and then above that we don't see trilobites, right? There's a layer to everything. And now his argument has said that the flood kind of just there's a stratigraphic effect by the flood, but there's no possible way that hydrologic sorting that he claims, which doesn't make any sense. There's nobody in the world that can explain how that would work. But how does he get around saying
he can't even explain how it works?
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't have a theory behind it either. But I mean, do you think at this point he's just doing it for show? Because I don't think he believes this half this stuff any longer. I just personally don't, because
it's hard to tell.
His brain is addled.
I think I think we actually, as weird as this sounds, we have a bit of mutual respect going on. But I think his ego is enormous. That's why he's willing to debate anyone on any topic.
So I think it might actually be a good idea. Can we tell people who our guest actually is?
Oh, yes.
What is it you say you do?
What do you do?
Oh, well, I'm not actually a scientist. I'm just really into science. I'm Jackson Rowe. I have a YouTube channel, just has 300 some odd followers right now. But
what's the name of your channel?
Jackson Rowe, ROE.
Okay, got it. I'm just gonna put your name in.
Okay.
And how did you manage to have 3 debates with Kent? Obviously, I had on my channel, King Crocoduck had 3 debates with Kent, and Kent got annihilated. I mean, he just got obliterated. And that was on cosmology. Yeah. Now he's doing geology with somebody who obviously you have an affinity toward the subject. This is something you have an interest in. Why? Why does he even bother any longer? Like you said, unless he's such a narcissist that he doesn't think he can lose.
Well, I think he's
This is what happens when Steve
that's awesome.
Me the information about what's going on ahead of time, and I got to do it on the fly.
I kind of
really into science. I like that.
Really into science. That's Jackson Rowe. He's really into science.
Really into science.
Yeah, I'm particularly into fossils, so I expect to do well in this next debate. But you can never predict how you're going to do in a debate. But so I'm not going to talk myself up.
But the thing, Jackson, is that Ken is, I think, obviously dishonest. And so when I debate somebody, I want to be able to have the ability to change that person's mind. I prefer to, at least, right? And there's no ability of you changing Kent's mind because he is so fixated on this. His life is his life. And I believe that he's such a narcissist. And we are going to have one of his ex-wives on to talk about some of these things, dealing with Kent's narcissism. And that he doesn't think they can actually lose. And so to me, I don't find it fruitful to debate Ken on anything. I just don't, because he's been shown to be wrong every single time and every topic that he talks about. And at that point, you're just feeding into his ego. But it's something you obviously you enjoy doing. But what do you think is the benefit for other people that already know that Kent's full of crap?
Well, I think a lot of people don't think he's full of crap is the problem. And, if you reach some of those people with saying, hey, the geologic column isn't fake, they'll say, wait a minute, this guy's been lying to me about this the whole time. And maybe
but those people, how often do they change their position?
Not often, but
I mean, how many times does he have to lose in a debate for it to be the case where somebody goes, oh, maybe he's wrong? Now, it does happen. My debate with Wayne Fillmore, I debated him because I thought he could change his mind, or at least I had hoped that he could change his mind, and he did, and he no longer is a young creationist. So it can happen. So you really kind of hope that people listening, and there might be that one person who goes, hey, shoot, Jackson really made me think on this. I hadn't heard that before. Okay, no, that's fair. That
is
makes
certainly
sense
a thing that does happen. We did get a super chat from Bort for 10 that says, Steve McRae is awesome. I am drunk. Sheesh. Here's $10. Thanks.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I haven't been drunk in a while. I need to be. I can't drink and get drunk.
I mean, go watch a Tent Hoven debate. It's free, and you'll feel just as drunk.
Take a shot every time.
The last debate was a dumpster fire that Kent had with David Neff. They got really into it.
How would you describe
they did not like each other.
Experience between your first debate and your most recent one?
Well, the first debate, I think I did decently. The second one, just okay. He kind of got me on something. I forget what it was. And the third debate is definitely I did the best with the geologic column.
Did you like start catching sort of? I know you mentioned he's got a script. You start catching his mannerisms and know where and how to sort of grab him. So even if it was like a different topic, you were still able to catch him doing the same kind.
He basically uses his same slides that he used since the 90s.
Yeah. Yep.
And by the way, he has said he says he'll say he'll update them. He doesn't.
I like that there's one of them that says thought, but he ran out of space, so it says THOT, like an internet thought.
And your Twitter is, by the way, your Twitter is Jackson Rowe Science Show @Rowe Science, right?
That's my old one. Somehow I got locked out of my old YouTube channel. When I got a new phone number and.
Well, I just followed that one then. You got to do it. All right.
But Jackson Rowe is what I'm using now. I've been making some parody videos about Kent, just in good fun, not any personal attacks. I mean, he even commented on one of them. I think they're pretty funny, but
I mean, that's bound to happen with Hovind.
Yeah. There's a lot of internal stuff going on with Hovind right now. On his, and I'm going to call it a compound because that's basically what it is.
It really is.
A lot of internal stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, if somebody's going to call something a cult, that would be constitutive of what I would consider to be a cult. Absolutely.
It's getting to be borderline a little bit, I think.
Well, I mean, he's losing following.
With the glasses, he's starting to look a little bit like Jim Jones, I think.
Oh, look, I think Kent is a cult leader. I mean, my personal opinion, he has the same properties as a cult leader. But do you think that he's losing some following or some ground? Or do you think it's about the same as it ever was? Because I haven't really caught up with Kent that much. And I was going to call his ex-wife. I needed to talk to her, but she wasn't feeling well, and I'll do it tomorrow. But she's going to come on and kind of give us some details of what's actually going on in the compound itself. But do you feel that he is losing any traction on that?
I think he's losing some traction. The reason for that is he's debating literally anyone, me included. So they're trying to get him to debate some big names, but so far I don't think anyone's biting. Like Aaron Ra was the last major guy who debated him, I think. And after that,
on this show.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that video debate he did back and forth with him.
Yeah.
And after that, it's been downhill, I think.
I wonder, I don't know, Steve, do you think we'll ever offer to have Kent come back on here?
Look, I have no problem with Kent coming on. The problem is he never will, because one thing, obviously, he did lie. He did say that he was told. I have a little bit of a
problem with Kent coming on just because of his behavior around Cindy Lincoln.
Well, again, obviously there's issues to be had there, but I mean, he said that he was offered equal time. That never happened. I can guarantee it. I have my conversation with him. The guy I was going through, his tech guy, his name was Steve. A lot of stuff going on with that dude. And so, I can't yet say anything because
let's have Steve on.
Oh no, no, not gonna happen.
Oh, no. Why not?
I need to fill you in what's really going on. With
it doesn't mean that we can have it right now. It just means once things are a little bit more resolved, or he's figuring out whatever Steve's figured out.
Yes, he got issues. But like I said, Kent, it's one of those things. It's like, do you have a person on like Kent who is actively still a horrible person, who is misleading people to go to his compound, work for free, mind control them, use manipulative techniques, in my opinion, do you have that kind of person to try to expose them, through argumentation, through people like you, Jackson, that want to debate him? Is there a benefit overall to expose his lack of knowledge, or is this rhetoric? Because it's been done for 40 freaking years, if not more.
Yeah. But I think he is losing ground.
You think so? He
for
is?
sure, he's losing ground. Yeah.
He lost a lot of ground when.
Yeah, because he's down to debating YouTubers with a couple hundred followers, me included. So.
Well, do you think that his assault charge?
He's not getting invited anywhere. Like he used to do live talks and shows, sessions, preaching, whatever.
Do you remember though? Excuse me. Do you remember when he got out of jail? He had not been anywhere. If I'm not mistaken, I was one of the first, if not the first, to have him start coming around again.
Fault. Yes, we know this.
Yeah. So now, but now he's everywhere. I mean, he's lost that. Oh, hey, you got Kent. Now it's big freaking deal. I mean, Arn, look at Arn. Arn's just kind of the same thing. Arn has been everywhere. Nobody freaking. It's like whatever. And so, it's lost that impact, because now, like, I think what's going on is they're going to be the people that want to follow Kent. They're not going to change their mind, but those who have changed their mind or have recognized that he is not somebody to be trusted. He doesn't know what the hell he's talking about in biology. His younger creationism is nonsense. How much more value is to get out of it besides just pure entertainment value, which is fine. No, I'm not saying that
there's something.
Yeah, I find it entertaining debating him. That's really the main reason I do it. I think
that's fair.
Fun. Yeah.
I think there's something to be said about, like, if you're going to have Kent on, or if you're going to platform Kent, or you're going to spend time with Kent, make sure that, one, you're getting something out of it, and two, remember that are you really debating Kent, or are you trying to reach Kent's audience? Because those are two very different things. And so depending on what you're trying to do will depend on how you kind of approach the situation. So, I mean...
And Matt Powell? You guys know Matt Powell?
Oh, God. Do we know Matt Powell? Matt Powell got started because of my fucking channel. I hate to admit that too.
Everything is Steve's fault.
Yes, it's my fault. I actually.
Well, you guys are gonna think this is crazy, but me and Matt Powell are actually kind of friends.
You're friends with Matt Powell? How?
Look, I was afraid of Matt one time before he started going off the deep end. Matt is a freaking sociopath. He's a narcissist. He's a Kent light. He wants to take over what Kent has, and he's willing to lie and deceive and be evil to do so. I think he's one of the most dishonest and evil people I've ever met in my life. And I'm not saying who could be friends with, but even you have to recognize that Matt is a shitty fucking person.
Well, some aspects, sure, yeah, but I mean, he's nice to me. I'm going to be nice to him. I mean, that's just my policy,
and I get that. But here's a guy that advocates to have the government kill gay people. I'm sorry, there's just no ethics to be had there. He's morally bankrupt, and I don't care who people friends with.
Kind of wish-wash on what you consider, like, what counts as friend. Being friendly and being on a way that you can have, like, speaking terms is different than, like, no, I'm buddies with the guy. I advocate for him. Those are different things.
Right. No, I get that. Friendly is not the same.
But I don't.
What he says there, for sure.
Right. My question is more of, like, if you're debating Kent and you're shutting down Kent, how is Matt Powell okay with you?
Yeah.
Like, how has this happened?
It's a very weird triangle going on.
Yeah. Can I give you a piece of advice? My own experience, who's dealt with Matt, because again, Matt was nothing. I started bringing him around. I was trying to help him out. I recognized very early that he had no intent to learn anything. He was all about the attention. He is an egotist. He is a narcissist. He is all about him. He will stab you in the back in a heartbeat. Don't think for a second that he wouldn't. That's my advice to you. He is a manipulative genocide. As somebody points out, he's a genocidal maniac.
Yeah, I don't keep anyone too close, but until they give me a reason not to like them personally. I mean, if they do something personal to me,
Look, I totally get that. Look, I totally understand that. There are people out there, people say, this person's not a good person. I said, look, they haven't done anything to me, whatever. So I'm not saying to do anything other than just watch your back. Sage advice. That's it.
I mean, do that with everybody.
Yeah, but some people you need a really more, you know. It's
All
like
right.
with you, I don't have to watch my back. You're gonna stab me in the front.
Jackson, is your Twitter at Row Science right now? Is that your current one?
I don't really have a Twitter right now, actually.
I'm just trying to find your stuff, and you've got YouTube links on there. Is that going to your channel?
That's my old channel.
It's the old channel. So what's your new channel?
That's the old one. Yeah.
What's the new one?
Yeah, can you get her the link so we can put in the video description?
Yeah, I'll email you the link. You want me to do that now?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
I'll do that.
yeah. If
Well,
you email
people in chat are like, "Hey, give us his link so we can go subscribe to him."
Okay, hang on a second.
Kawasa says 5001. Kawasa says it's not impossible to be friends. Just be careful not to be quote business Steve mode.
Business Steve.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, business Steve and friendship Steve happen to be exactly the same thing. I do not differentiate. I will never ever say, "Oh, look, it's business. I will shit on you in public, but in real, in private, I'm going to pretend to be your friend." No, that doesn't work that way.
I don't know.
Yeah,
Matt Powell
I'm cautious around people. I've been stabbed in the back by people before, so.
Who hasn't?
Yeah, usually the people that you thought were friends too. At least you know Matt.
That's how you get
so,
Steve.
Right.
That's required to be stabbed in the back.
I'm telling
but even
you,
then, I'm really forgiving. If they apologize, I'll be like, I'll give you another chance.
But Jackson, you might have a point. Maybe we should associate more with the shitty people, knowing that they're shitty and they're going to stab us in the back, rather than friends who do so unexpectedly, because that hurts a hell of a lot more.
I believe that adage is called "keep your friends close and your enemies closer," Steve.
Look, I have actually lived that before. There are reasons for that, yes. But there's certain enemies that even them are so shitty that you can't have around. But anyway, so go back to your debates with him. You have your next one on. You said the fossils.
Yeah.
Yeah. What have you debated so far? You've debated the column, fossils evolution, is coming up.
Human evolution, Noah's flood, the geologic column, and we've got what do we have? Transitional fossils coming up.
How did the flood one go?
That was my worst one, I think. I mean, I didn't do horribly.
Was that the first one?
That was the second one.
What did he kind of stick you on? What was the sticking point?
The stick, I don't remember exactly, but he got a few punches in, I think. But I mean, it still came out. It's a ridiculous story. Of course, all of his followers think he won, and they always will. But
have you gone back? Have you gone back and edified yourself on what he got you on, so okay, next time?
Yeah, I mean, I've really tried to memorize all of his stuff. Like he says, you came from a rock, came from a dot of nothing that exploded. The stuff, dogs produce dogs. The stuff that he repeats.
Well, I think you were saying it was less of a sticking point of a fact and more of a sticking point of a rhetorical device.
Yeah, it's more rhetorical with him. Yeah, he's just good with words. I think is what it is.
He's well practiced.
Well, he caters to people that don't know shit about biology. He caters to people that are so fundamentalist and so strongly in their religiosity that to them, dogs only have dogs is a good argument, regardless of the fact it makes any freaking impact on evolution whatsoever.
And I've tried to
he's been told countless times
if
a dog has a non-dog, there's a problem there.
I mean, of course, a dog's going to produce a dog, but a population of dogs, give it 1 million years, they're going to look a little bit different than a dog.
Yeah, but monophyletically, they're always going to be dogs.
Right.
Monophyletically, they're always going to be dogs. Just like we're always.
And that's another thing. The last debate, he seized on monophyly, and wouldn't that violate monophyly for something to change into something else? And it was just a mess. So.
Yeah, Meyer's law of monophyly prevents something from ever losing its phylogenetic history. So, because like
humans are always going to be primates.
Right.
Mammals,
whatever we have, we're going to be always primates. Right.
Yeah.
Well, now, it's for the entertainment value. I get it. What channel is your next thing going to be on? Your channel?
The next debate? No, it's going to be on Standing for Truth. That's what it's called.
Oh, Standing for Truth. Hey, have him contact me, will you?
I think it might be fun to have Kent come back on, just because then Kent's not exactly.
Would he?
He'd be more on a equal playing field rather than his own podium. House rules.
I don't know if he would.
Yeah, 99% of the audience there is young Earth creationists. So
No, but have Standing for Truth contact me, because every time he said he's going to contact me, he never does. And so I want to get Standing for Truth on. Too, so. Yeah, and Mundane. What is it? Not? Let me say. What's his name? Not Mundane Matt. The other guy. Matt. Ramat.
Yeah, I don't really know Ramat, yeah, but
we'll get Standing for Truth on here. He says he's going to come on, but he just never does it. So.
Yeah, I'll talk to Donnie about that. He see if he can. But you guys want a preview of what I'm going to kind of present?
Yes.
I'm gonna hold my cards close to my chest. It's not the actual presentation, but it's just some examples of transitional fossils. So how do I share a screen on here?
You need to give me your stuff so I can present it for you.
Yeah, it's VMix won't let you shoot.
Okay, so it has to be in like a Word document or something?
Sure, any document will work, as long as I can open it.
Well, that's the problem then. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do it, because I have pictures on my email.
Pull it up on your phone and hold it up to the camera.
Okay, that'll work. Okay, we can do that.
Yeah, I know Gutsack Given went after Standing for Truth. Gutsack has been busy this month. I'm going to try to get her on next month. Huge fan of hers.
I was asking her. She did her night at the Creation
I haven't talked to her in a while.
She's gonna see.
She's been busy. I told her. I said she was going to become a superstar on that thing. I knew she knew what she was talking about, and she's personable. She's really good at this stuff.
She deserves all the attention she's getting.
Absolutely, man. I'm like, go team. That's why I don't do much with Young Creationism any longer. I recognize there's so much better people out than I am. I host and talk about it, but I don't do as much as I used to do on my channel about it, because you have Gutsack, you have Dapper Dino, you've got Apologia, and I'm just like, look, they're way more competent in this than I am.
Please.
So.
Oh my
God.
What? How are you getting these people's names wrong?
Gutsack Given. Is that how you pronounce it?
Given.
Oh, Gutsack Given.
You said Apologia wrong.
All right, you want me to informally? I'm trying to lean into it to make Elmo look like my head. Do it again. Do it again.
That is perfect. Tell Jackson, how, Kent? How?
Do you want that? I can give you that video clip if you want it.
Yeah.
All right. I can do like an informal kind of presentation. Hold this up to the camera.
Yes.
If you want to see.
Yeah.
Okay. It's really just I'm showing fossils that are clearly transitional. Is my approach.
Do it.
Yeah.
I like it.
This is. Can you make that out at all?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Pasosiren. Its ribs, teeth, and skull are that of a sirenian, a manatee, basically. But it's a quadruped. It walks. So that's obviously kind of a problem for creationism. How do they explain the manatee?
Did they say that? Did they say that lived
basically a manatee? What?
Wait. Well, okay, and they that came obviously before manatee, but did they say that lived 6,000 years ago, contemporary with the manatee?
They would say it lived alongside manatees, yes, but really it lived 50 million years ago.
Yeah, they're a little off on their timing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of odd that they have to really cram all these extinct species into 6,000-7,000 years ago. Because I'm telling you, 6,000 years ago, this planet must have been lit.
Yeah, a lot of animals alive 6,000 years ago, apparently. And here's just a lineup. My actual presentation is going to have about there are 40 species of these whales, these whale-legged whales.
Yeah.
Most people are only aware of a few of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Ambulosaurus and
Ambulocetus and
Ambulocetus
and Basilosaurus. I guess you're getting those mixed up, maybe.
Yeah, look. That's why
Steve is not here for names today. Apparently,
I am terrible with names. I horrible. It took me 2 weeks just to be able to pronounce Paralithicus catalonicus. Okay, I am really bad at this stuff, but I know my limitations. That's one of them.
But are you going to be able to get Kent to say whale penis? Because apparently that is the top.
Oh, he said it last debate. He said it in the last debate.
You already won. You already won.
Back Liam.
And one more I'll show, just to, they're always talking about Lucy. It's like that's the only one they're aware of, Australopithecus. For instance, this is an Australopithecus prometheus or Africanus, depending on who you ask.
That's
It's an almost complete skeleton. Yeah, almost complete skeleton.
That skeleton, did they find that skeleton together or spread out, or is it like a bunch that they've gotten?
It was in South Africa in Sterkfontein Cave. It was actually encased in limestone, like it fell into this cave and died and got buried in limestone. So they found it basically in one piece.
He's just going to say it's a monkey with rickets.
Probably something along those lines, but
right.
spine is S-shaped like this, like ours, to support upright walking. The hips are bowl-shaped. The foramen magnum is intermediate.
Again? Can I see it?
Yeah, let me pull it up.
I bet you could literally take Kent and you could take him back in time 50 million years ago to see all this stuff firsthand, and he still would be in denial. Well, even then, again, maybe not, because again, I'm questioning whether he even believes this nonsense any longer. I really am.
I think some of the things he doesn't believe, but it's really hard to tell.
Yeah, that doesn't look like a human. Like just the length of the arms
not human. The skull especially is not human.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. The
skull especially is definitely not human. And creationists take the position that Australopithecines were just apes and they didn't walk upright, which is ridiculous because everything about from the neck down says they walked upright.
Do they say they're plantigrade? They walked on their knuckles? That's what they say.
Yeah, they're knuckle walkers. That's what they say. They have a statue of Lucy at the Creation Museum in that position, which is just stupid. And they can tell from this Littlefoot fossil that the legs are actually longer than the arms. So it's basically anatomically impossible to be a quadruped comfortably.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we do ever get Kent on again, which should be with Jackson moderating and King Crocoduck. The return of the king.
Well, like I said, I don't know if we would have him on once we get Cindy, but because I want to hear Cindy Lincoln's story. I really do. Yes. She's really sweet, really nice. We may disagree on the creationist aspect, but as far as anything else, she has an amazing story to tell.
Start with Saturn is actually suggesting somebody else, and they're saying King Crocoduck versus Christy Winters.
That would be interesting. Yeah, I don't think they get along too well, though.
I mean, since when has that ever been a problem?
Yeah, well, King Crocoduck has been doing a lot of political stuff lately. That's for sure.
King Crocoduck is a busy boy.
Have you guys heard of back to? Sorry to interrupt, but back to transitional fossils.
Yes,
you guys heard of Ichthyostega? Have you guys heard of Ichthyostega and Acanthostega?
Mm-hmm.
I have not.
Yeah, I've heard of Ichthyostega.
I am a very undereducated goblin.
That's still a type of whale, isn't it?
They're basically tetrapods at this point. They're still technically fish, but what I find really interesting about them is Acanthostega has 8 digits on its hand, like a fin transitioning into a hand, and Ichthyostega is even weirder. It has 7 digits, with 3 of them starting to fuse into kind of a thumb.
So, yeah, well, I've seen those pictures actually, but Kent has actually seen those pictures as well. He's aware of that. He's seen it.
Is he?
Does it bend?
Yeah, I'm sure he's seen it.
I'm not sure. I don't think it's opposable, but yeah, the fin and transition. It's pretty weird.
Which we expect for mammals. And as I pointed out on Twitter the other day, all mammals are the only species that has fur. And all mammals have fur at some point in their lifespan, and whether it be before they're born or afterwards. But all mammals at some point have fur, but only mammals have fur. And by the way, this is fur. Hair is fur. It's the same thing.
That when you have so much fur that you're not using moisturizer anymore, you're using conditioner. Is that the line?
Yeah, this is fur. I'm furry. This is my 10-day no shave. I've heard that it's men are most attractive at 10 days of no shaving. So I was going to do this as an experiment and ask B, what do you think? She's like, I'm like, whatever. I like it.
Yeah, unfortunately, my beard is kind of red, which I'm disappointed
about. That's more than 10 days.
So
that's more than 10 days. Yeah. What do the audience think? Did the audience like the 10-day or that looks like 30-day or something? What is that?
Are we having a vote about who's got better?
We're gonna man off. Yeah, we're gonna fur off. Yeah.
Oh, all right. So one in the chat, one in the chat for Steve, 2 in the chat for Jackson, and 3 in the chat for me.
Who do you like for fur? Yeah. So clean shaven, no fur. 10-day fur or a month fur. What is your guys' preference?
Steve is 1, Jackson is 2, I'm number 3. So please vote in the chat.
I'm still gonna go with this anyways, but whatever.
I vote 2.
10-day no shave. Looks like 5-day no shave. No, it's more. It is more than 5. Trust me.
Trust him. Just trust. Steve's just asking you to trust him.
What was 2 again? B. You were
2 is Jackson.
1. I was 2. He was...
Yeah. Okay, I'm winning. So I'm winning.
No, Steve is 1. 2 is Jackson. I'm number 3. 1 is Steve. 2 is Jackson. I'm number 3.
There's a 1. There's a 1. Yes. Clean.
Oh, we're tied now.
I tried clean. It doesn't work for me. Yeah, clean didn't work. I don't like full beards. I don't like years. I had a year once, and if you go back to look at my old stuff, and it just didn't work for me. I look like David Letterman.
I like Jackson's look. Jackson's look is crisp.
No, it's good. Don't get me wrong.
When I was a kid, I never imagined I would have a beard. I always said I'll never have a beard, and now I'm like, I can't imagine myself without one.
Well, if you don't mind me asking, I'm going to guess you're around 30.
28, pretty close.
Okay, all right. I was going to go a little
all right,
lower,
chat. Who's oldest? Steve is the oldest, or I'm the.
No,
oldest?
Once you hit about when you get about 28 or something like that, that's when you can start actually, I think, growing a beard and start looking normalized.
Steve
well, no one's going to say you're the oldest.
Steve is trying to gatekeep the age you can grow a beard.
Yes. Don't grow a beard when you're 23. Grow a little mustache and goatee or whatever, but a full beard at 23, I don't know, not my thing.
I'm gonna tell you guys.
I'm not saying what you could do, but
don't take advice from Steve about
grooming
style.
tips by Steve. Yeah, whatever.
No. Listen, some people can grow a beard really early. Some people just struggle their whole lives to grow a beard. Be happy with whatever you got and figure out what works for you.
Yeah.
Don't listen
I can start
like
shaving until I was like 24, probably.
Yeah, no, I think that's good advice. That's why I bought a new razor where I could trim it a certain length, and I'm keeping it this length for a while. But I am going to I got a consult. I'm going to go get my hair done professionally. They haven't evened out. I mean, I want to get like a salt and pepper type thing, but I have to have it professionally done. So I have a consult tomorrow. My sister this Christmas
gave me a salon day, so I get to go to a salon for the day. When Covfefe calms down and everything opens up again. But
that must be nice. Have a salon day. Hot rock treatment. Yes.
And go get myself a pedicure. Yes. Go get my hair done up a little bit nice.
By the way,
maybe I'll put some color in it.
There's somebody in the live chat that's just so salty, and let's just drink the tears of the salt.
Cheers to the salt.
I'm out of coffee.
I've got a little bit still.
Yes.
I got one more transitional thought, so you guys want to see it?
Yes.
Sure.
Okay, yes. It's actually a big poster. There you go.
That's so cool.
What is
yeah, it's Anchiornis is what that's called.
Where'd you get it? Is it like did you paint that or did you get that?
No, it's a picture, but I had it printed out on some website. Yeah.
That's cool. It's gonna go on the
wall.
My
goal is to open some kind of museum eventually. Have like hundreds of posters and a bunch of replicas.
Are you cool. If I can ask, I mean, are you going to school for this particular topic, or is this a hobby?
It's just a hobby. I did go to college briefly.
Just into science.
Yeah.
Yep. Nothing wrong with that. I'm
awesome.
I
passed a biology class, but that's all I did in college.
Well, it's more than Kent did.
It's more than I did.
Probably, yeah.
I had biology in college. Yeah. In fact, I had no idea what phylogeny was until college. I mean, we had to memorize like groups of like what chordata meant and things of that nature. If it wasn't for my biology classes in college, I would have never known the most basics of these things, So I think that everybody should at least have a basic college entry level course to biology of some kind. But we had to learn the Krebs cycle. We had to learn, mitochondrial DNA.
Everybody should have that, really?
I think it should be part of. I think it should be fundamental as part of their fundamental education. Basic cell, division, meiosis,
basic
mitosis,
cell
mitosis,
division is in grade 10 science.
Well, in Canada, here in America, we suck.
Yes, that's in Canada. Grade 9 and grade 10 science.
Yeah, here in America.
Actually, sometimes they cover part of it in grade 8.
They need to teach science and history the most, I think. Science and history.
Here's the thing. I did not have any idea what electron transport chain was until college. I just was never talked about in high school. I didn't know what the hell a mitochondrial matrix was. I had no idea. And I remember taking biology course type stuff in high school, but we didn't cover any of that shit. I don't know what the hell we did in biology in high school. Yeah.
All right, we're
like
going
I said,
back.
Maybe it's just California.
We're going back in time. Pirates or ninjas?
In regards to what, though?
What do you mean?
I would be a pirate.
Pirates or ninjas?
I would rather
to pick one.
Well, that's a tough question. Pirates are always out to sea, and I don't want to do that anymore.
Oh, fair.
I mean, occasionally it's fun. Don't get me wrong. I don't mind being on the ocean occasionally, but when you're out there sick, for several months at a time, 3 months longest we had was almost 3 months. Never again. You don't want to be out there for 3 months. It sucks.
Yeah, but all the pillaging and treasure, that's fun.
Okay, so I mean, if you want to pillage and plunder, get the booty from from ships, I guess so. But then they'll do it to you too. Pirates could be raided just as much, right? So
yeah, that's true.
At least ninjas, you can go in, you can stealthily go, throw a star, get the hell out.
Can you pick your fights pillage if you're a ninja?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, bank robber pretty easy.
Why? Yeah.
Because ninjas are assassins. They're not in it for the booty. They're in it for the.
No, listen. There's a difference between like personal aspirations and personal goals, and like your style of doing so.
Can you be a ninja pirate? Can you be dual class?
No, you wouldn't be a ninja pirate. You would be a ninja sailing around doing ninja things
which is a pirate.
Which may or may not be
skills.
No, it's the way you do it. It's your skill set.
Pirate with throwing star.
Yeah,
exactly. You're a pirate with badass ninja skills.
All right, so now we're gotta get into what defines a pirate and what defines a ninja.
Right.
Is it what they do or is it how they do it? Because I think it's how
class.
they do it.
I don't know.
I think it's how they do it is what makes you a pirate or a ninja.
It's dual class. But anyways, all right. We are wrapping it up. We were going to wrap up 4 minutes.
Swashbuckling rogue.
Swashbuckling rogues. There you go. Yes. But anyways, Jackson, thanks for joining us. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We look forward to your debate.
When is your debate? When is it? Tell us again.
Email me.
I think I'm pretty sure it's Friday.
Oh, super.
I'm not going to talk myself up or anything, but I know the subject pretty well. So if I don't do good, I'm going to be disappointed. But
all right, go support him against Kent Hovind on Friday, probably.
We are going to subscribe to your channel here. Ken Hovind's Chemtrail Imagination song. I definitely have to.
That. Yeah, that's a funny.
And you talk about the 6,000-year-old heat problem. That is huge, by the way. It's funny. It's funny with the heat problem. The Young Earth Creationist has actually admitted when they did the rates that they don't have a solution for it. They have hypothesized accelerated decay, but when I asked Humphreys that very question directly. You have hypothesized accelerated decay to try to resolve the heat problem, which they admit is a problem that is unresolved. And I asked him, can you send
to a miracle?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what he said. He said the reason why accelerated decay exists is because it has to exist because they're 6,000 years old. I'm like, you're begging the question at this point because there's no scientific evidence for accelerated decay.
Not to mention catastrophic plate tectonics, which would also cause an immense amount of heat. They have to account for all the plates moving in a short amount of time. They have to account for all the craters, all the meteors and comets hitting the Earth over the course of the 4.5 billion years. I talk about that in my crappy video.
They have a lot of problems. Yes, they have a lot of problems with that.
Yeah.
All right, we'll add that in the video description so they can go find you.
Okay. Yeah, there's some funny parodies also. I think they're funny to me. And Kent was talking about chemtrails the other day, which surprised me.
Oh no.
Yes, I want to listen to that. So, anyways, guys, I wanted to thank you everybody for the support they've been giving us on Patreon and other places. V is working on the Teespring. We do have to change a few things over, but I did get it back from Patreon. So the original Patreon is the Patreon that we had before. We have Old School Nuke Cool coming on the 22nd with Landon Curtnell. He's going to talk about volcanology as well with the latest Tonga explosion. And Dapper Dino is going to join us for that. But apparently, V, some people are very upset that Caffeine Corner is on Non Sequitur. And to that, I just say, well, I don't want to get demonetized this early. So what should we say to that, V? Because obviously we don't give a shit about what people think. How? There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Elmo. That's
do it again. I want to lean into it.
Can we just end it there?
Yeah, we'll see you guys next week. Don't forget to like and subscribe, hit the bell, notifications, become a member if you're interested. Don't forget, Discord is going to be soon. Teespring's going to be up soon. Feel free to reach out to us on Twitter or at Patreon. And Q, I'm going to go dox craft tequila. I'll see you guys later. Bye.